Hi there, speaker friends. Welcome back to part 2 of message platforms for an empty calendar. Hey, it happens. Right now, lots of us have empty calendars because of COVID, but sometimes it's just because it's a slow season. Sometimes it's because the number of events has dwindled and the number of speakers has risen in our area. There are all kinds of reasons that our calendar might be empty, but it doesn't mean that we can't speak. All this beautiful technology around us allows us to speak even when no one else is inviting us to do so. So if you have a message burning on your heart that you know God has given you and that can be useful to people, and if you want to make sure that when things are better again, that you are top of mind for the event planners and coordinators around you, then make sure that you are speaking during this season. Last week, if you missed it, I talked about podcasting and YouTube, and you can go back and watch that. I'll put the link down below the video today in the blog post. And I gave you another resource, Christina Patterson's class on using YouTube, everything that you'll need to create a YouTube channel that draws people in. And this week, I want to talk about Facebook and talk about 2 platforms on Facebook that can be very effective at getting your message across. The first one is Facebook Live. Now, Facebook Live has been around for a while, so many of you have probably done it. I would love to hear from you in the comments, things that you've learned about Facebook Live, things that you love about it, things that you hate about it. There are some things I hate about it too. But how have you used Facebook Live? But if you haven't done it yet, I want to encourage you to dive right in. Now, can I confess that I have been speaking professionally for, I think, around 12 years or so when I did my first Facebook Live, and I was terrified. There was something about it. It was just the technology and all of it just really scared me to death. But now I love Facebook Live. And one reason I love Facebook Live is that it doesn't have to be perfect. So when I'm editing video, except for these for you all, because you're my peeps, you're my girls, and so it was a little sloppy last week, and I apologize for that. But when I'm on Facebook Live, it's one shot and done. My reforming perfectionist doesn't kick in because I can't do anything except post it. And so, unless you're going to delete it because something terribly went wrong. But people are used to this platform now, and they like that. So I also want to tell you that if you're ever frustrated with Facebook and the algorithms that keep you from being seen on Facebook, Facebook loves video. They love video, they love Facebook Lives, and so it will expand your reach if you will use it. And again, all those things that I said about podcasting with your voice, and then also your expressions, since you're using video, those all apply. It helps you to connect with people. People feel like they know you. You all get invited into my office every once in a while, so you see my chalk painted cabinet back there. You see my beautiful Felicia. She is growing like crazy. Felicia the fiddle leaf fern, fiddle leaf fig, and so people feel like they know you, and that's the advantage of video. So here are a few just really quick tips. If you are as scared as I was the first time, here's something you can do. Create your own secret Facebook group and only invite yourself and maybe a friend. And then in the secret Facebook group, do some practice Facebook Lives where nobody actually sees you. So practice, do them, make so that you feel comfortable with the whole system. Post them within that secret group because nobody's going to see them but you and your best friend or somebody close to you that loves you, that will help you but not be too harsh with you. And you can watch the video and see what you might need to do. So that's one way to practice Facebook Lives before you do it in front of people. So that's a little tip. Use natural lighting from a window and a tripod. a tripod in your phone is all that you need. The tripod that keeps you steady. Natural light. I have a few other lights on in here, but I face a window when I do Facebook Live, and it keeps me from having to buy any fancy lighting systems or anything like that. So God's light really is the best light, and just use that. Let people know ahead of time when you're going to go live. If you're going to do one that night, put up a Facebook post during the day and advertise that you'll be live at a certain time so people come and join you. And many people set up a predictable schedule. Even if you do a short series, if you're going to do like 4 days in a row, do it at the same time every day so people can find you there. You can use services like StreamYard or BeLive. Facebook has ways to do this too, so you can interview people. I've done quite a bit of that, and I really like interviewing people on Facebook Live, and then that video can be downloaded and embedded other places too, so you can use it on different platforms to multiply where it is seen. So that's really good. You want to make it long enough that people begin to follow you. I read one thing that said more than 3 minutes, but I believe that 10 or 20 minutes is even better. That on Facebook Live, the longer you're on, the more Facebook expands the algorithm and expands your reach, and so more people are able to see that you are on live. So plan a little content ahead of time, and you might do, like I just have a page here with bullet points and things on it to keep, so you plan ahead, you have great content, and it keeps you on track. And vary the content sometimes. People have used YouTube for all kinds of things, practical tips, even like cooking shows and things like that, interviews, teaching, storytelling, and kind of vary it some so that your audience stays engaged. And with Facebook Live, one of the beautiful parts of it is that you can interact with your audience there. Now, I have to confess that I'm kind of single-minded, so I don't do a lot of interaction when I'm doing my Facebook Live. A lot of times what I'll do, and actually it annoys me when people do, like if I'm tuned in and they're kind of interrupting themselves every other word or so to greet the next person on. I don't love that. I find it very distracting. But you might greet people at the beginning, kind of do a little preamble, greet people as they come on, and then start, and then stay with the flow of your content. But several times I have announced to people, hey, so hang in there with me at the end and type your questions in. At the end, I will answer your questions. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll say, as soon as this is over, I'm going to jump off and hop on over to my laptop where I do a little bit better with typing than texting, and I will answer your questions if you'll leave them in the comments. So either way that you want to do that is great, that you can interact with your audience a little bit. That's one of the beauties of Facebook Live. So Facebook Live, podcasting, YouTube, Facebook Live, give it a try to get your message out. And the last one is can involve writing and speaking, and it's to create a private Facebook group. So I recently did this at the wonderful advice of my friend Kia Stevens. This was right after George Floyd's death, and I just felt this compelling move of the Spirit in me to do a 30 days of posting. Just some of the things. I've been on a racial reconciliation journey, just learning personally, very kind of behind the scenes for the last 3 years or so. And I felt like God was saying, Amy, I've been teaching you with the purpose. Now is the time for you to share some of this, which you've been learning with other people. So I created a private Facebook group called 30 Days Toward Love and Unity. And in that, I could do a whole series on how to do a private Facebook page from this thing, but I shared for 30 days every single day things that I had been learning that I thought would be helpful to other people who were trying to understand and be part of the solution of the race problem in our country. And so these are some of the things that I did. I did 30 days in my group, and I learned that it's a really great way to develop content because I was getting feedback from my audience every single day. So I did a post and they did comments every single day, and I was able to get like moment by moment feedback from my audience. So here's some tips if you create a private Facebook group. First of all, set some rules. I had really strict rules for this group because it was such a tender topic. But think about what kinds of rules are appropriate for your group and set rules. This is, if you're going to be in this group, here's how we're going to function here, and here's what's not going to be acceptable. Facebook gives you some ones that are already written that you can edit, so it gives you a place to start. Number 2, as they come into the group, ask them some questions to gather information. I had 3 questions to enter the group. The first one was, how are you, what did I ask them? Oh, what is your desire? What do you desire to get from this group, to gain or learn from this group? Because I wanted to know, so that I could provide that. Number 2, I said, if you could ask a woman of color any question that you want an answer to without fear, what would you ask her? And I made a spreadsheet of those. And then the number 3 question is, how are you feeling during this time? Because I wanted to tune in to how these women were feeling so that I could really minister to them in that place. And so those were my 3 questions. Think of some questions, things you want to know from your audience to gather information that way. And then my other tip is to vary your content. This is the beauty of a private Facebook group. I did Facebook Lives. I did most of my teaching via Facebook Lives. I pre-recorded Zoom videos where I took those questions that they wanted to ask a woman of color, and I interviewed 4 Black women who are my friends that were willing to dive into it with me, and I asked them those questions. And so it was a good way for my group to be able to hear women of color speak really candidly about some really hard topics without having to go out in public and ask people. That's kind of a scary forum. So those were the 2 video kinds of things, Facebook Live and video, that I pre-recorded and then posted via Zoom. I think I uploaded them to YouTube and shared from YouTube. And then I did some written ones. I had some kind of a graphic every day. They were super simple, just photographs and things. I did have some graphs that I shared. I had some Facebook posts from other people that I shared. So I tried to really do a lot of variety to keep women super engaged, and they were very engaged. And so in my private Facebook group, it was a chance to gather information from my audience. I believe this is content that God will have me to use in some way in the future, not quite sure how yet. And it also allowed me to see how people responded to the content that I put out. And so it gave me really good immediate feedback. So I hope this has been helpful to you. There are 4 ways that you can speak and deliver your message even if your calendar is empty. And it is podcasting, YouTube, Facebook Live, and then a private Facebook group. And so I hope that you will leverage one of those ways. And if you have already, would you tell us about it in the comments? We would love to hear your stories and the things that you've learned, both by successes and by failures. And we learn that way too. So if you would share with us, we would just absolutely love it. Thanks for tuning in, and I am praying that God shows you exactly how He wants you to get His message out.